Alright, I'm going to show you how to do a cutout using Photoshop. So you're going to go to your programs, go to Adobe Design Standard, and choose Adobe Photoshop CS4. Choose the 64-bit if you have the option. Don't worry about this, just say no. File open. We need a picture again that we can utilize that has someone pretty easy to cut out, as in you don't want to try to extract somebody from like a huge group of people or something like that. So you want someone that you can really pull out individually. So let's take this little guy right here. Alright, and then I'm gonna zoom into him a bit so I can take a look at what I need to do. So when I go to do a cutout, the tool I'm going to use is right here. It is called the, I don't know what it's called, the something brush, it usually tells us. But anyways, you're going to take that. Notice up here that it has a plus, a minus, and a brush size. Okay. Right now you can see that my brush size is like almost like a crosshair, and that's really small. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the diameter of my brush so that I can get a, I don't want to make it too big, but I don't want to make it too small. This is pretty good because it gets me inside his body pretty decently. So we start with the plus because we want to select an area, and I just accidentally selected an area, so I'm actually going to erase that using the minus. The minus is kind of like subtract and the plus is add. So I am going to come down here to this young man's shoe, and I am going to start selecting him with the plus. And I'm not going to worry too much about it going way off outside because there's not much I can do about it until I take the minus. So I am going to, pretty much I've got half of him. Okay, so now I'm going to take the minus and I'm going to zoom into an area and clean up my mess here. So I definitely don't want, we got to go back to my brush, sorry. Now I'm in the minus. So now I'm going to try to get this to come back around. Okay, and I got a little straggler there. My brush is pretty big right now. When you zoom in and out, you have to readjust your brush. So I just did that. And now I'm just going to kind of look at some other areas that I need to subtract. I didn't quite get his hand real nice and neat. So I'm going to do that. Now his arm looks better. I've got all this grass I have to get rid of, so I'm going to come up into here and hope that it learns that I don't want all this grass. Got to get rid of all of that. So I'm trying to teach it what to select, essentially, is what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to control minus so I can see better. And then that means I have to change my brush size again. That's better. Okay, and I'm going to continue on with the situation here. A little bit right there I want to get rid of. Okay, now I got to go back to the plus because I've got to fix some areas. I don't have enough of this young man's hair. His hair is missing. So I've got that. I've got some areas down here that I need to get. And so I go back and forth doing this until I am satisfied with my selection. Okay, and so I'm going to just keep, and again, this is not something you're going to do in a couple of seconds. You should be doing a much better job than what I'm doing right now as a sample to teach you how to do this. Okay, so it's going to take some time. And then once I'm satisfied with my selection area, I then will go to Edit, Cut, File, New. I will make sure I'm choosing a transparent background and say OK, and then Edit, Paste. Okay, now I have some areas that I need to clean up. He looks kind of weird and jaggedy in some places. Okay, I have the option that I could take the eraser tool. Let's zoom into, whoops, I'm minusing instead of plussing here. Let's zoom into him and see what we've got here. I want to look at his face. So as I do that, see that streak of blue up there? That's definitely a bad thing. And rather than going back in to do my whole cutout, I am going to just take this eraser tool and kind of get in there and get rid of that little bit of stuff that I don't like. anytime I see right there, I got a little bit of green on him right there that I want to get rid of. This eraser tool is pretty good for that. I can go around and just clean it up a little bit more. If I make my brush smaller, I can just go ahead and get in there a little bit better, and so on and so forth. So let's say that I am satisfied with my result. The last thing I want to do is I want to blur the edges, and so I'm going to choose blur. I'm going to increase my brush size, and I'm going to basically blur the edges, and I'm going to go ahead and choose this level of blurring right here, 21. Increase my, and I'm going to go around and blur the edges of him so that he doesn't look so sharp. So I'm just going to go around the edges of him and rub. I'm just kind of like using my mouse and I'm rubbing around the edges of the picture so that it is less choppy looking. This is a very useful situation that you do need to do before you finalize your photo. So after that, I'm going to go to File, Save As. Make sure that I save it as cutout or whatever the spread is, okay? And then you want to make sure you choose JPEG as your option, not a Photoshop, okay? And then put it where it belongs and save. And then you will be able to upload that image, go and find it in the drive and upload it into eDesign, and you're on your way. And that is how you do a cutout.